right, we've just got him for about 10 minutes, because then I think he's doing an RT interview overseas. And then we're going to go to the veterans I wanted to get on. Ex-military intelligence, vet, nuclear launch officer, current serving military. I want to get your take on what's happening. But you heard Dr. Jerome Corsi last hour. He said this is the greatest threat of nuclear war since the Cuban Missile Crisis. And it's all based on a lie. And WorldNet Daily, with their Arab-speaking bureau, found all the al-Qaeda videos with them launching the attacks last week, bragging. And it's on their channels they've had for 2 years, showing their attacks. They're that proud. They got caught earlier this year launching a chemical attack that even Yahoo reported on. But I wanted to get Dr. Roberts on today. He wrote a story that's at paulcraigroberts.org. And we also have it up on INFOWARS.com. Syria, another Western war crime in the making, Paul Craig Roberts. And I wanted to get the former head of policy at the Treasury, father of Reaganomics, on to give a truly conservative perspective on this and to ask him, is it good news that only 9% of Americans in a Reuters poll agree with this? I think this is the collapse of support, and it really shows we have a rogue state kleptocracy in there, A, but B, does he think they'll go ahead and strike? Dr. Corsi believes they will, and it may cause World War III. Dr. Roberts, thanks for coming on.
Pleased to be with you, Alex.
Break it down.
Well, they're going to strike, and of course, it was not done by Assad. It was staged by the Americans and the Israelis. We've known this from the beginning. The minute that Obama said there was a line drawn, we knew they were going to have a false flag event. The fact that the American people are finally caught on, are tired of these wars that don't serve their purposes, doesn't matter, because Washington now is no longer accountable, except to a few powerful private interests. So I think it will go ahead. I don't think nuclear war will result because of this strike, but it's going to result because what the United States is doing, they're radicalizing the Muslims. It's a way of destabilizing both Russia and China. Russia has large Muslim populations. It's bordered by numerous Muslim countries. China has some Muslim populations and borders. And so as this radicalization of Muslims spreads, it spreads into these two countries and becomes destabilizing for them. And as well, the United States has inside Russia hundreds of non-governmental organizations funded with American money whose purpose is to destabilize Russia, to demand liberalization, which is really a way of creating dissenting voices, arousing the different nationality passions of the peoples in Russia. The same in China. In China, every time an American company locates a new plant or a bank branch in China, they create a board, and they put on this board the Chinese relatives of the local and regional party officials. And so that board becomes a way of, it's a conduit for money into the regional and local Communist Party, and it creates loyalties that put them at odds with the central government.
So it's a global corporatist takeover above all the nations. Let me ask you this question, Dr. Roberts. How far can the madness go when every military officer I talk to says the military's awake and upset, when the polls show almost no one's buying it, but as you said, they don't care, they go forward. Is there any way to stop this madness?
I doubt it. I think it will lead to nuclear war, because what the Chinese and Russians are learning is that there's no international law. I mean, the United States has no respect for international law, and the Chinese and Russians are learning that there is no restraint whatsoever on Washington's criminality. And since they are isolated diplomatically, they're outgunned militarily, all they really can do is to take refuge in nuclear weapons, and both are rapidly upgrading their strategic nuclear weapons. So I think the idiots in Washington, trying to have world hegemony, are driving the world to nuclear war. I think that is the certain outcome of the neoconservative policy of American hegemony.
Again, Dr. Paul Craig Roberts joins us. He's an economist and also has worked internationally on many deals, including the peace deals with the Soviet Union back in 1991. Doctor, unfortunately, I have to agree with you, and all the other experts I talked to agree, and I've done my own research. I think the only thing that may stop it is the military itself quietly leaking information, sabotaging things in a peaceful way, kind of blocking what's going on. And that's why you see such a focus on persecuting whistleblowers, because the kleptocrats that have seized control of our central government seem to be concerned about that. So I think that shows that that may be a weakness.
Well, you know, Dempsey, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, has warned against it. But I think on the whole, the military is unable to do anything. And what they would have to do would be simply to have a coup. But actually, the war serves the purpose of the military. It serves a military security complex. The get along generals, when they retire, they either get to be Pentagon consultants or they become lobbyists.
Sure, but it's not going to serve them if we go totally bankrupt and there's a nuclear war.
I know, but everybody thinks about their interests. Who's looking after me? This is my chance. I can't rock the boat. So it becomes very hard for the military to do something that's actually against the short-run interest of all of the members in the higher ranks. So I don't know that we can count on the military stopping it. They haven't stopped any of the other wars.
Why do you think they're going ahead with this now? To distract from all the scandals, to try to get Iran to get involved so that they can have a wider war?
Well, you know, it's part of the neoconservative document that they put out, and General Wesley Clark has reported he was shown the same thing when he visited the Pentagon. So I think what it's really about is the United States was going to pull off in Syria exactly the same scenario it used in Libya. Only this time, the Russians and the Chinese vetoed the no-fly zone because they had learned that the no-fly zone was actually something the Americans and NATO used for attacking Gaddafi's forces. So they vetoed it. So the Americans Washington had already instigated the outside jihadists going into Syria to overthrow the secular president. And yet there was no air support. And so the American-backed forces, the Washington-backed forces, are being defeated. And so they've got to find some way to come to the aid of the forces. And so that's what this chemical weapons false flag attack is all about. It gives Washington an excuse to run in there and rescue the forces that it sent to work.
Sir, Joel Scalzon, who does World Affairs Brief, has been very accurate in his analysis, as have you been. He believes that the Anglo-American power structure is trying to get Russia and China to start a nuclear war, and that they believe out of that global crisis, they'll be able to create a new police state here, roll out some of the space-based weapons they've got to defeat them, and finally have world domination, and that this is truly a megalomaniacal thing that's happening. What's your take on that analysis?
Well, we already have a police state. They already have that, and nobody survives nuclear war. I mean, there won't be any survivors. So I think that's an incorrect analysis, and that
okay, well, you and I can see the end of this, and he can see the end of it, and then everybody else I talk to that's intelligent can see the end of it. What is the power structure thinking then? If they don't want World War III, why are they trying to start it? Or are they so arrogant, like Don Corzine making 40-to-1 bets in the stock market, that they just think they're invincible?
Well, they probably are full of hubris, and they're full of the ideology that they're indispensable and exceptional, but they're also counting on winning. They're counting on their strategy of destabilizing Russia and China working. I mean, Washington does have fifth columns in both countries. And so if radicalizing the Muslim populations causes more instability, then Washington says we can win. So they're banking on winning without the nuclear war. But what they're overlooking is that that's the only weapons that China and Russia would have to stop this. So I think it would come out, we'll all be simply destroyed. It'd be the end of life on Earth.
And they also like to use the radical Muslims they're flooding the U.S. and Europe with as another way to destabilize and then take all our liberties from the threat they literally created. Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, folks can read your columns on your site and syndicated around the web on places like INFOWARS.com, paulcraigroberts.org. Thank you so much for your analysis.
Pleased to talk to you.
Thank you, Doctor. Well, there you go. There's the father of Reaganomics, listed as one of the top 10 economists in the world by Forbes magazine and other publications. Here telling us that we're probably going to end up in the next few years, if not sooner, have nuclear war and we're all dead. And Don Corzine and Blank Fine, everybody just doesn't care because they've just got trillions they've stolen and they're all just got jet copters and 20 mistresses and they're invincible like every other group of control freaks in history. They got to have world government, man. They just got to have it. They got to have it. They got to have it now. We're going to go to your phone calls here now in just a moment. Ahead of all this, it's more important than ever that everyone become PrisonPlanet.tv subscribers. $5.95 a month membership that pays for us to build the news division. Lets 11 people with the same username and passcode simultaneously log in, see all my films, the nightly news, the commercial-free video and audio podcast, the daytime radio show, the video feeds of the daytime radio show. It's all at PrisonPlanet.tv. And please don't forget, during all these crises, it is more important than ever to fund and support this operation. During crises, our actual revenue even goes down. You'd think it would go up, but people just get completely concerned about the information, not supporting the outfits that are actually helping warn people. I think this can be stopped. There are a lot of smart people in the system that realize where this is going, and that's why they haven't gone over the edge, because every Joint Chief of Staff has said, don't do this, and don't attack Iran, and don't, because they war fight, folks, and they know what the Russians are up to. And the globalists have this double game trying to take over China. It's just madness. It's not America. So please support InfoWars. Store.com, all the great products. Become a PrisonPlanet.tv member. If you have a membership, share it. Also, check out PrivateInternetAccess.com. We hear news stories every day about NSA spying on people. PrivateInternetAccess.com provides cybersecurity, encrypts internet connection, hides your IP address, providing anonymous browsing, provides firewall protection, which prevents data mining, provides uncensored access to the complete internet, maintains no records whatsoever of computer activity, can connect to 5 devices simultaneously with one account, and can have service anywhere the internet connection. Based in the USA, PrivateInternetAccess.com. And finally, eFoodsDirect.com. They sent out 50,000 meals to the victims in Oklahoma and found out that that was only enough supply for just a few weeks. It just shows how people need to be prepared. They've got a bunch of specials running right now. You can find it at InfoWars.com by linking through on the banners or by simply going to eFoodsDirect.com/Alex to find all the free shipping deals they've got and a bunch of other specials. eFoodsDirect.com/Alex or 800-409-5633. Visit InfoWars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.